So we always record our meetings for, for people who would like to watch later. In case any of you do not feel comfortable in showing your face or your name, it's very easy for everyone just to remove your face from the screen and your name as well, and you still be able to participate and talking or sending your questions through the chat. So we have all these resources. So we will start with this book, Alert, item lesson 42 in the Toiling of Mediumship. So, in the labor of mediumship, the work of moral refinement is of capital importance. The neglected grounds give victory to the weeds. Soil without care is a loss to agricultural economy. Each medium review in the application of their psychic forces the stage of their own evolution. So, since we have been learning from each chapter, like I was saying, that this is a book more related to our moral perfection. Although she's talking about mediumship, she's going to make a point in this chapter of what we were saying in terms of how much our moral development is going to, or refinement here, as she says, is going to play a very important role when we are talking about mediumship. One thing when talking about mediumship that is always important for us to point out is we have in the work, The Medium's Book by Allan Kardec, there is a statement that says that we are all mediums. And many of us may find it strange. How come I am a medium? I never had anything. I don't feel anything. I never entertain any kind of communication with spirit. The thing is, we all do that, like I said, even if on an unconscious level. All of a sudden you're looking for a question, a solution, and those bright ideas that comes to your mind all of a sudden, it could have been an intuition, that you receive it from a voice that you are not physically acknowledging, but it's there. So when we are talking about mediumship here, whether you have it or not, what we call a more ostensive way of, mediumship, which is when you really are engaged in works of mediumship, when you really feel that you have, this interaction with spiritual realm in a more directed form or not, this is also always very important because like it says in that question from the Spirit's book, do spirits influence our thoughts? And the answer is much more than you suppose. So they are constantly by our side. And like Joanna de Angelis is going to be trying to tell us here is this. According to how we are, how we think, how morally evolved we are, those are the companies that we are going to have when we are talking about mediumship. That's why she's inviting us to pay attention to our inner development. Any questions or comments so far? Okay, we can go ahead a little bit more. For that reason, the great variety of mediums is a consequence of the wide moral band where human beings transit. Improve the moral character and the cultural values of its workers, and we will see superior results in mediumistic service. sometimes, you know, mediumistic groups of mediumship, they can be very frustrated with, like it says here, with the result, with the content of messages and communications that we may have. But again, it's not the spirits that we have to blame. Because let's say I call a PhD in physics to talk to kindergarten students. What are they going to be able to absorb from, you know, that teacher? Especially if they are going to be talking about quantum physics, right? I mean, not even now as adults are understanding that much nowadays. So this is the same thing. It is somehow sometimes a waste of time of more evolved spirits to come to try to enlighten us, especially particularly in relation to this or that subject, if we don't have the basis, the basic knowledge to understand that. And this is not only a matter of knowledge, but it's also a matter of attunement. For a more morally evolved spirit to get in touch with us, we need to prepare ourselves. We need to prepare the terrain to receive the seeds they want to give us. Otherwise, when they look there, even if they want to nourish us, they want to give us something, they will look at it and say, we'll still need to wait for it because the terrain is very rough still. It needs to be worked better. Okay, so that is one of the reasons here that Joanna de Angelis is telling us. In order for us to have more superior, and superior doesn't mean only necessarily in terms of, you know, intellectual knowledge from the spiritual realm, but also this association with more evolved spirit, we have to be able to attune them through the efforts of morally getting better. Let's see, we have a comment here. Mediumship help humanity comprehend the mystery of death and have a more profound faith. That's absolutely right. You know, when we have the possibility of witnessing mediumistic phenomena, not all of us, because, you know, when we read about, you know, the times when really mediumship started to becoming an issue, and we are talking about mid-19th century, because as we always explain, mediumship was always there. We just need one person on earth, one person in the spirit realm. We are capable of having mediumship interaction, but it became a more of a thing with exactly in mid 19th century. So from there to today, and especially at the beginning, they had so much proof, the phenomena that were happening in terms of physical phenomena, etc. But it's still, there were so many people that absolutely refuse to accept that. To accept mediumship, to accept the idea of reincarnation, for example. So yes, the more we will understand that, the more we will open our minds, at least to start putting that into the equation. You know, let's start focusing on that. Let's start, you know, paying attention of all this that is happening. And I'll judge later. I will accept or not later. Let me just, you know, research more. Then we will come to the conclusion that is exactly like you said. It can give us great comfort because it brings to us the proof of the survival of the soul.
Sarah,
Yes?
the first Uh, I believe some of them have experienced uh, seeing spirits, but I imagine that they would not bring that up to their congregation. No.
Yeah, I mean, we hear so many cases of even in the church, that there are mediumistic displays, and it's something that they try to avoid, because in some religions, in some philosophies, it is not accepted. And there is still this idea that it doesn't come from, they even accept the spirits, but it's only negative, bad spirits can communicate. So this is always an issue, and that's why we don't see that much, people from other denominations talking openly about it.
Just one final thought. What can spiritists do about this? Because otherwise, we keep going, and expecting evolution to sooner or later bring the point to us. And
Orlando, especially in this country, and being one of the pioneers working in this field here in the English language, because like we know, Spiritism has been in this country for over 100 years, uh, but mostly in Spanish and Portuguese, very little in English before 20-25 years ago. So we have been doing exactly what we were talking before. We are trying to prepare the terrain, and prepare the terrain means having people that are capable of, having this knowledge that when they will talk to others, they will know what to talk to, having books, having places where people can go to. So this is the work that we have been doing, and it has been growing tremendously. So I understand that for people that are just arriving, it may not seem that much has been done, or the progress, but for us that have been here for over 20 years, it is amazing what we have conquered in those years, um, which seem almost impossible to be able to have accomplished, but it's there. So yeah, things are happening, and we cannot eat the fruit before the plant grows, and the plant is growing. So we have to be a bit more patient, and have a bit more of faith, knowing that the plant is growing, the tree is growing, and very soon it's going to be uh, the right size, is going to start providing fruits. The fruits are going to become ripe, and people are going to be able to enjoy. So this preparation has been done. So let's go to the next one. The mediumistic faculty, like any other, is neutral in and of itself. The direction it is set is what makes it dignified or pernicious. Varying in intensity from individual to individual, it has its roots in the spirit, where the being's evolutionary need is fixed. So here, I think it's wonderful, and it's never enough for us to keep on repeating that. Mediumship per se is in a way is very much like money. We cannot blame money for things. Money can be bad depending on how you spend it. The use you are going to go in, or wealth and riches, the use you are going to give to it. And mediumship is the same thing. It's like a tool. I can have a hammer. I can use the hammer, to hang a beautiful painting on my wall, or I can use a hammer to hurt someone. So who is to blame? The hammer. It's the one that is using this tool. So mediumship is only a tool, and the direction we are going to give to it, and the connections we are going to make depends on us. That's why she's emphasizing here, you know, if you have a good nature, you are going to probably to be working on the good nature of and enjoying the possibilities of this tool. If you don't, you're not going to do that. You're going to do the opposite of it. So and again, that idea that we think that you know, a good medium is one that has prolific communications or this or that. No, it's always about the content and the connection. I can have a medium that will receive a message that says, love one another. That's it. And I can have a medium that can write a dissertation about love one another that came from a so-so spirit, and the other one comes from a high evolved, let's say, Saint John, okay? uh, it and then we may be impressed with, oh my God, this it is a whole book about it. And you look at the whole book, and at the end of the whole book, 100 pages, the only conclusion you reach is love one another. That the other one, this said just in one phrase. So, you know, we have sometimes this verbosity because which is more characteristic of not so evolved spirit, which doesn't mean that there are low level spirits, okay? But it's spirits of our nature. We have this tendency of talking and explaining too much, like what I'm doing now. Okay, any comments or questions? So let's go to the next one. Innate mediumship, it develops through judicious processes of education and discipline. It is driven towards moral values through the exercise that the individual must submit themselves. Mediumship is inherent to human beings, as is the intellectual measure, waiting for a corresponding refinement. You possess mediumship, or you do not demonstrate more ample mediumistic resources. Here, so she is talking, she's continued to explain to us that mediumship is a faculty that all human beings have, that will depend on us to develop, because even if I am a medium, let's say that I have the commitment of using or working with this ability in this life, I may not use that to the best of my ability, or I don't prepare myself much. I don't engage in a serious mediumship work. All of those things that um, sometimes it takes time for people that have mediumship realize that would be the best and safest way of dealing with the invisible life. So in this case, we may or may not possess mediumship and possibilities uh, to to communicate. But if we possess mediumship, we may possess mediumship, but may not be able to expand on the work. That's what she's trying to say in this last phrase. You possess mediumship, or you do not demonstrate more ample mediumic resources. It's not. We have to review this. But what she's trying to say here is exactly that. That even when we have mediumship, we may not be working with that so much. So if you are a medium, free yourself of impediments of any nature which keep you at the entrance of mediumistic labor. If you experience the symptoms that characterize the blessed faculty, do not hesitate to attend to the labor before you. So here, or to the work, to the possibilities. What we have sometimes is that many people have the possibility. They feel on a certain degree more of the approximation, or that this relation with the spirits, but it's something that for whatever reason they are refusing to accept or to pursue. It can be out of fear, it can be out of because I don't have the interest. I'm not pursuing spiritual values for my life. I'm not interested in that. But in case we have this possibility, what she's saying is allow yourself to grow in this aspect, because it not only is going to be beneficial for you, but for everyone that can actually benefit from all the experiences you are going to be having.
Usada,
Yes.
is it possible for you to tell us what's how the mechanics of why some people? I mean, what makes you able to see spirits? Uh, is it the mind? Is it the what's inside of us that allow us to see spirits where other people don't? What's taking I mean, what makes it possible?
Orlando, this is something that it is going to be really impossible for us to touch now, because it's very complex and long.
Yes.
We have a book. I can recommend a book that we already have it in English, that is called Mechanics of Mediumship by Andrea Lewis and Chico Xavier. Okay, you can
Thank
go
you.
in our website and you can find it, sgny.org. And as you will see, it's quite complex, because it's going to be touching the fields of physics, biology,
I imagine. Yes. Thank
all of
you.
that. So, um, roughly speaking, everything happens with the possibility of my spiritual body, that we call perispirit, to attune with the spirit of the communicant spirit, also the spirit body. So this is the first stage, but what happens from next is very complex. And even then, even when we understand, for each medium is going to be different, because there are so many varieties. There is a book that is called, we still don't have that I'm translated into English. Actually, I have, it's a 900 pages book. I have already 40 pages translated that the author allowed me to do. And particularly also, we still need to translate this chapter that talks about seeing spirits, that he presents I think, if I'm not mistaken, 16 or 19 different categories of how you can see a spirit. So as you see, it's quite a lot. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Free yourself from the injunctions of doubt and submit yourself to a disciplining program of moral beautification and mediumistic education. Study yourself and the Spiritist doctrine. So when we are talking about phenomena, many people, of course, will have doubt. We live in a material world. All our lives we've been hearing things about, seize the day, what matters is today, there is only one life. All of this is what we hear most, right? So now we have to deal with the idea that all of that is wrong. Oh, no, you're not material. Even from quantum physics now, not even the wall that it seems to be pure matter is no longer matter, is an aggregation of molecules. But I'm not even going there because I do not understand that much about it. So we hear that about our bodies, we learn about the spiritual body, we learn about the possibilities of spirits, about communication, out of body experiences. Each time more, we are facing this new reality that today is even available for children with the movies like the one that they did with Coco, and now Soul, that it starts already talking to children about the continuation of existence, the survival of the soul. So now we have to start with a new paradigm. We have to reprogram ourselves. And but having said that, it is only natural that for the majority of people, when you start dealing with that, first thing that comes to mind is that you're crazy, right? This is not possible to be happening. And you begin to feel afraid about talking about it. Look perhaps for mental health assistance. And but to us as spiritists, or who are researching, start treading this path, we each time more we will see that this is completely natural, and it is part of the human beings. It's part of the life of the immortal spirit. So that's why she says, start putting doubt aside. Think about, I love when she says moral beautification, because normally we say that beauty comes from the soul, right? Sometimes you may see someone that is very physically pleasant, but can be a very unpleasant person. And we can see people that are not that pleasant physically to look at, but they become so beautiful when we start getting to know them, when we look at their accomplishments, of their dedication. So that's why she's always going to be inviting us as well to research our inner selves, to pay attention in us, in our inclinations, in our dispositions, but also in our ideals, because nowadays my inclinations, my inner disposition may not be that honorable, but if I already have an ideal of making them or honorable, it means that I'm creating the conditions, and with that also the possibility of more evolved spirits to reach out. Questions, comments? Okay, so let's go to the next one. Trust in time and do not torment yourself with hurried effects. Look at that, Orlando. Synchronize with good in order for the noble spirits to appreciate your effort. So yeah, it's baby steps, like Zoraida always tells us, right, Zoraida? Baby steps. It doesn't matter how fast we are going to get there. The main thing is that we are on the way, and we are not delaying the journey. even if my possibilities for the moment is minimal. But like she says here, just by the fact of me having the inclination of synchronizing with good, not being good yet, because this is going to take a little while for us. Mere mortals, right? Average mortal or immortals. It's going to take a while. So even when we have the desire to do it, and we are doing the effort, then we are already opening a different new path ahead of us. Is very much like, when we think about that saying from Jesus, help yourselves and heaven will help you. It requires us to reach out for them to pick us and take care of us and help us in this journey. Any comments or questions so far? Okay, let's go to the next one. Dedicate yourself to inner life, cultivating reflection and prayer, so that you may remove yourself when necessary from turbulence and perturbation, maintaining psychic balance. Utilize mediumship for the good of all, making yourself a constant mediator of hope and peace, optimism and health, for your own benefit and that of others. So again, the invitation here is pay attention to you, pay attention to your self-improvement, self-awareness. This cultivating reflection, meditation means, and prayer means self-awareness. Use the time to analyze your actions, to review your current behaviors, because you see, it doesn't help that much. I would think, for me to start thinking about what I did 10, 20 years ago. Okay, I may stroll to there, look at it quickly, but what I have to pay attention is the now. The past, if it was good, great. If it was not, I'm moving on. And sometimes, if it was not, and we stay there too long, we will feel not worthy. We will not believe in ourselves, in our ability to move forward. So that's why the today and the ideal of tomorrow, it's so much more important in this case. Uh, and with that, we are able of analyzing what causes distress to us, what kind of ambient, what kind of people, what kind of literature, movies, what type of conversations. So we can refrain from going towards things that we feel are detrimental to us. For instance, not long ago, I belonged to one of those WhatsApp group, but it was not good. I mean, every now and then, okay, one nice comment, one good thing, but it was controversial. People were not a positive experience, but I kept there, and I kept looking at it. And every time I was doing that, most of the times I was not feeling okay after reading what was there. And then it came to a point that I said, why am I doing that to me? At first I had the excuse, oh, but among 10 things. Two are good, but it was not worth, get the 8 bad just to see if I could get 2 good. Then I just remove it myself from the group. This is just one of the examples. Like for instance, one thing that has always affected me was, what I call the bad news at 11. The to watch to watch the news right before going to sleep, and there are so many negative things, even when they finish with humorous note. I mean, they throw so much garbage at us, and then the last 10 seconds they show a cute animal in the zoo or something like that, just to say, try to erase all the damage that they did before. So, okay, we have to know about the news. We have to know what is going on in the world, but we don't need to do that right after going to sleep and having all the impressions, the negativity, in a moment that should be a sacred moment, because it's the moment that you are going to detach and you're going to visit the spirit realm. And if I have all this negativity, I'm not going to be able to go to places I would like to go. I will go to places I don't want to go, right? Or I'm going to be stuck next to my body with this worries that all the bad news at 11 brought to me. But this is me. Maybe it doesn't affect you that much. So I'm not saying, God forbid, I'm not saying you don't watch if you like to watch, but I mean, pay attention to that. Pay attention to those things. So to me, I saw that it was not a good thing. So from that point on, I never watched that again. Questions, comments?
So one thing I would say is, it goes to good vibrations and how good vibrations affect us all. And it also goes to me, the first thing I was thinking about was family, believe it or not, that you sometimes just can't avoid within the family, because that's what families are. It's not necessarily a positive experience all the time, but it's something that you try to, in any situation you can control, to try and have as much positive vibrations around you as you can. But sometimes you can't, so.
Yeah, but then, Paul, it's interesting that you brought this, because every now and then we talk about it, because it has such a major effect in us, right? Family, like you say, and it has to be this way. But the thing is, we are able to control things as well. We may not engage that much. We may prevent ourselves in association even with family members at certain times that you feel that you are more vulnerable. You may maintain a certain distance, still maintain a relationship because his family is there. You are there either or both things, to learn from them or to help them. And when we are in the field of helping, it requires even more patience, tolerance, compassion, all those things that we would love to have, but we still don't have that much. Right? We're struggling. Sometimes we succeed, sometimes we don't. So, and so when we use what Joanna de Angelis is telling us here, paying attention to how we react, to how we behave, meditating about the whole situation, we will start to find ways of getting the least damage possible from the relationship, or difficult relationships, be that with family, immediate family members, or even other people that is unavoidable for us to have. I mean, like, the workplace. Sometimes there are people there you cannot avoid. They are not your family, but you have to have a relationship even more intense with them. So how do you deal with that? So this is what she's saying, and one of the resources that can help us a lot is prayer. And we always mention that prayer here is not to say, by heart phrases that we learned in our childhood, but it's really to put ourselves in a state of communion with the on high, whether we say something or not. Sometimes, especially when things are bad, I normally just look up. This is a unnecessary gesture, and I just say, God, please help. That's it. I mean, because again, it's not the number of words or the repetition, but it's the intensity of what goes within ourselves. So prayer in the sense is, I know that I'm going to be facing a more adverse environment. I immediately pray for assistance. And even when it seems that they didn't help because struggles were there, and maybe they helped more than we imagined, because we could be physically hurting each other, right? So yeah, it's always a challenge when we talk about family.
Usada,
Yes.
I noticed that I mean, when we talk, we neglect to include the aspect of evil into the equation. And evil uh, is lingering, all around us. And we neglect to, consider that.
No, I'm talking about it a lot here. I'm just using different phrasing. I'm saying, well, you're not that good. If you're not that good, you're
No,
bad. You're evil.
but I'm trying to figure out. I don't know. This might sound philosophical, but why did they let evil exist into the equation of, I would say good and bad, day and night. The opposite.
Yes, that's right, Orlando. But it's always, the absence of something. Dark is the absence of light. Bad, evil is the absence of good. And everyone that is, all the ones that are responsible for that are ourselves. So I have the potential of having and living all the virtues, but I still have not filled the cup of each one of them. Some of them are totally empty. Some of them I already, put some drops. Others are a bit better. And overall, at this level of involvement, I'm far from filling all the cups of virtues, right? But we are trying to do that. This is what we are trying to do. So it is part. It's not. Perhaps instead of saying it's part of the world, we should say it's part, unfortunately, still of the human beings, human nature. So let's go at the last one here. You will face difficulties in mediumistic labor. If, however, you conquer those problems that are found within yourself, you will overcome the others, which will seem of less gravity and significance. So, because we are far from perfection, and perfect connections and perfect communications and communications with perfect pure spirits, there will be times that we will find it very challenging. But the more we take care of this part that concerns to us, the less those kind of things are going to be happening or are going to be impacting us. you know, if someone's step on my foot, my toe, let's say, it hurts, right? I may complain with the person. If I find out that the person is blind, couldn't see what the person was doing, I'm not going to complain. But if the person is not, I'm going to complain. But the thing is, it hurted likewise. So sometimes we have more understanding about things and situations. Now, the other person is not blind, physically speaking, but perhaps was going through something that made her blind to everything that was happening around. How many times those things happen to us? Like you're so into your thoughts, into your worries, that you can be careless. You see, in here, what we are trying to say is the following. The more we grow in understanding, in tolerance, compassion, the less things are going to affect me. Like, this example, it hurt, but I didn't complain. I let it go. I recovered. It's in the past. Or because a person was not blind, it hurted. I engaged it into an argument. You don't know, you didn't pay attention to me. Why don't you look where you're going? Things like this. So here is the same thing. The more we begin understanding about things, it's not that they are not still difficult, but they become somehow less difficult. We at least do not aggravate the situation. And this is also what she's trying to say here. Even though, according to our level of involvement, when dealing with all this process of communication, of interaction, still we may struggle, but each time less, because we will be in control. And what happens now is, while we still do not get to know ourselves and do not protect ourselves, shield ourselves with an aura of virtues, we are going to be much more exposed to everything else. And this and shift our perspective. I already told this case many times, but we have Paul, and maybe Marlene didn't hear that example. I used to work in a place that there was this woman, and that she was very, very rude all the time, and I mean, it was really hard to work with her. And I was always thinking, what did I do so for her to treat me this way? And trying to find reason, and always thinking, of course, that it was my fault that she was being this nasty with me because of me. And when I couldn't solve the puzzle, and always going through the situation, start thinking a little less about myself and more about what was happening around, I start seeing that she was rude to everyone else. So, and for several months here I was, worrying, trying to find fault in myself, suffering with that situation, even having ill feeling towards her, when finally I stopped thinking selfishly and start realizing that she was rude to everyone and it was not person. Oh my God, that day I was so happy because I said, wow, it's not me. There is nothing wrong with me. But then immediately I start seeing that there was something wrong with her. And I start thinking, what can lead a person to be that bitter, that rude, that, and then I start making friends with her and feeling sorry for her, having compassion with her. And after a while, I was not even paying attention. I think she even got better, or at least before my eyes, she got better. But you see, that's why I'm saying we aggravate situations depending on how we view, how we position ourselves in those kind of situations. She didn't change, but I changed it. I changed perspective. And that's why in this way, when Joanna de Angelis also talks about, us paying attention to ourselves and refine ourselves, morally speaking, it's so important because it's what is going to lead us to be able to really understand things from a different perspective. Okay, so we have time for one final question or comment. Otherwise, we go to our final prayer. We will be talking more about that, okay, Marlene? But I guess for today, you had a little bit of the mediumship that you wanted to hear about, right?
Yes, and I do have the books that you mentioned, and I'm just finishing up choice text from the Spiritist Review, so I'm going to move right on into Leon Denis.
Okay, that's great.
See you Saturday.
Yes, so remember that I'm even going to show you here. So let me share the screen again because for those who are not familiar, so every year we have an annual Spiritist Symposium. This is the 15th edition, so we've been doing that for 15 years already. And this year is going to be about mediums and mediumship because we are celebrating the 160th anniversary of the Mediums book. So it's June, so it's Saturday and Sunday, 2 to 5:30 p.m. Okay, we have a very interesting program. There are going to be panels, talks, lectures, conversations, Q&A, a session only of Q&A. So it's really worth to participate. It's a initiative of the United States Spiritist Federation. And we are going to be having people from all over the US joining us, participating, and even participating in all the activities we have. Okay, so you can watch on our YouTube channel, United States Spiritist Federation, or Facebook, USSF Federation, USS Federation. And also at TVC, because the International Spiritist Council is also sponsoring this virtual symposium, okay? So don't miss it, 2 to 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Soraya, could you do the final prayer for us? Oh, Soraya, you're on mute.
Sorry for that.